Thank you very much, Mr. Dolo, for
Thank
your
you.
patience in answering the questions. I actually have one last question.
Please.
I thought I'd finished, but I just thought that maybe you will help me answering this question. My question is, looking at everything that have happened in this country, and in our desire to ensure that these things shouldn't happen again, do you think that people who committed war crime against the Liberian people should hold public office?
The question is if people who perpetrate crimes against humanity should hold public office. Well, again, if it is proven that they did it and the law requires that they shouldn't, then I think they shouldn't. But going back to perpetrate atrocities against people, like you say, it's kind of vague. My definition of vague is that you see, like my definition of casualty, for example, is not only the dead; it's you and myself. Well, we are all casualty. And having said that, take for example, here I was in this embassy, have not come out for several, maybe a week or two. And there's a radio station there that is playing real, regular music and sending requests. He didn't really take guns to do it, but that deception was enough to make me to even imagine that side was better than this side. And that's how coming fast. Some people started to come from one area to another area and then got themselves in a situation that they didn't find themselves in. And like I say, I didn't remember a lot of what happened in the 80s or so. But all of us Liberians, or most of us Liberians that are here today, cannot or could not be or cannot or would not be spared, because there were people, for example, who, taking advantage of the illiteracy rate, came and said they've come to like conscientize people, for example, and people were so blinded to whatever they were saying that, yeah, they think this guy is saying the right thing. And their action, their utterances, made people do those things that they never even thought about doing. There was, for example, maybe journalists who just were doing their own job, but just dissecting or just the commentary that they wrote, for example, made people to do stuff. So I don't know whether their contribution in a process of writing these stories or in a process of coming to try to conscientize people, I don't know whether that will also fall under your definition of atrocity. Or are we saying the victims are just the dead? For example, I don't know if that's what we say. So if there is a law that says that people who may have committed atrocities against the Liberian people in a clear, defined term that they should face X, Y, Z. If that's the law and that's what it says, then, so be it. But you would just have to elaborate on your definition. There were a lot of people that didn't even think about this, but it's only because, take for example, like during these elections, for example, where, and this election would be like maybe the third election that I've witnessed, but this was one of a lot of self-expression, where people went here and there, where somebody came and said, well, vote for me, I will give you this, or I will do this. And you go and you voted for the person, and that person come and don't deliver. Have they not deceived those people, for example? So all I'm saying is that to a large extent, Madam Commissioner, to a large extent, a lot of wrong have been done. And if the question was, how you think we can right this wrong, I really wouldn't know where to start from. But I will say to you in short that if there was a law that says that, not even public office, there was a law that said when it's proven that this person did this, they should be incarcerated. If that's the law, then that will be the law, and that's what we will have to go by. Except that it has to be clearly defined.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
From our end, we want to also say thanks for coming and making the submissions you've made to the Commission. But now, I shouldn't have any question to ask, but the few that I have are premised on the profile you have given us. And please correct me if I'm wrong in trying to put in context what has been communicated to us, that here is this innocent victim of a bloody situation at the Lutheran Church who survived and is involuntarily involved with 1, 2, or 3 warring factions. And through that process and up to now, he carried no specific rank. He had no commanding officer. And even if he commanded others, but now he doesn't remember who he commanded or anything of the kind. And extending it further, he knows the leaders of these factions, Noah Dolo, Prince Johnson, R.G. Kroman, Mr. Taylor, and that's where it stops. And in the conduct of his activities, no direct violations were committed, no atrocities. If they were committed indirectly, so be it. And he regrets very much the very idea of a war and perhaps his role played during the process. But yet, if he is to do it again, he will do it. Is this a concrete representation of what you've intended to communicate to the Commission today?
No, sir. I think, let me just make it clear, sir, that I don't remember who I commanded. No, sir. I did not say that. I did not say it. I don't remember who I commanded. I was not asked as to who you commanded. No. What I said earlier, sir, was that in a couple of these organizations, there were already structures. That's what I said. There were already structures in place. And to tell you, for example, that I went to Nimba, that I can speak of a lot of time because there where I was, I don't know who I commanded, would not be true. I mean, I met people on the ground, and I cannot sit and tell you that I don't know who were on the ground. There might be some situation that I can remember, and like after my hearing, I'm sure you're going to go to the drawing board and begin to follow up on my own story. So I can remember a situation in like, say, 3 months as well as I will remember a situation that took almost a year, or more. And that when I went to, like he said, there might be another hearing or so about trying to find out who was where. So if I was asked, for example, when you went, because I can't just go in isolation. If I went, there was somebody there that I went to. So if the question was, if you went, who did you meet? Yes, I met people, and I cannot tell you that I forgot everybody I met. No, that's not what I'm saying. So I remember people that I commanded, some of them. I might not remember them 100%, but assuming I came to the TRC, there are members of TRC, but there is a head of TRC. So the fact that I remember, I know the head of the TRC, I would say, well, I know the people of TRC. So I don't want to give you the impression that I don't know who I commanded. This is in no way my words. I remember in a very good, vivid way some of the people that I encountered in the process. So I'm not saying that I don't remember that. This innocent victim also. Sir, I wouldn't want to be perceived by you or your commission as an innocent victim. Why I don't deny that I was a victim, it's easy for me to come before you and give you my story, and I don't make it to make it sound like I am an innocent victim or whatever. But I would prefer, based on what I've said, if there are additional questions that I need to answer, that you go into it and check it, and you should make the decision whether what I've told you is true, whether I put myself in it pretending as though I was a victim, or whether because of the incident at the Lutheran church, I went about to take vengeance, against, other people. And it would be so wrong for me to sit before you and keep making myself the victim, as though there were not other victims, that was there. So that this innocent victim regret this, whether I was a victim or a perpetrator, as I've been alluded to, I would still regret it. So everybody had a moment. Maybe one time you were a victim and another time you were a victimizer. All of these things are there for you to find out. So that's not the impression I want to give you. And that if he is to do it again, he will go and do it. I would prefer that be clarified. And what I said earlier, and I still want to say to you, sir, it was difficult to see the other side of the coin. And I said in the process, I made choices, good or bad choices. I made choices. And my choice, in my thought at the time, was a good choice. And from another person's perspective, it was not a good choice. Because the truth is that the people of Nimba, for example, could come and say all of the pleasant things about me. That don't make me good. Because maybe in the eyes of maybe people in Monrovia, Lofa, or where I may have been, maybe they saw me from a different perspective. So I think it's only fair to see things from other people's perspective so that you can be able to appreciate the bigger picture. And I said further that the heart is not so smart. Had it been so smart, I would have either been in a position to make maybe a more logical decision. But Chairman Verde and members of the committee, why I said earlier that I did not see this thing from a tribal dimension, this was how it went. And that I came from Nimba was not something that I chose, or that somebody else of Mandingo was not something that they chose. It just happened that they were Mandingo, or they were from Nimba, or they were Mana, or they were Gio. And that I found myself in a life and death situation. I am not sure if anybody who finds themselves in a life and death situation, which was the exact situation that I found myself in, will say that they will choose death. I don't think so. But then unfortunately, it could also be said, yes, you thought to stay alive. But in your quest to try to stay alive, there were others who also did not stay alive. How do you reconcile that? And it is all of these things that culminate together to bring about this regret. But it's not like where I'm sitting now with options available to me at where I am now. Options available to me that you said, Zach, tomorrow I will say, Jiba, no, I won't. So that's not what I'm saying. And that's not the impression that I want to leave you with, sir. And again, you have to remember this war is almost 20 years now. The level at which I have matured over the period cannot be the same thing. And I didn't have that wide horizon that there was this, there was that. You managed to get to Kawe. How come you did not extend to go to a Fender? How come you did not go until you got to Nimba when other people could do it? Again, these were choices that maybe these were alternatives that I could have thought about. But was I able to think about it this way that time? I'm not sure. Considering the friction between the IMPFL and the MPFL, would I have been able to convince the other people on the other side that indeed this is my situation, this is where I am from, as opposed to if I was able to go by way of Congotown towards the MPFL, and where they would now say, well, you pass through Prince Johnson Man and Prince Johnson Man. I don't know. And thinking about all of these things, yes, I could have maybe done it a different way. But as at the time, that was the only way I thought I could have, stay alive.
All things considered, what you have said, questions we have asked, can you suggest that your association with IMPFL, ULIMO, MPFL were ones of self-defense?
Sorry, sir?
All things considered,
Yeah.
questions asked, your responses, and on reflection, can you say your association with these factions was one of self-defense?
That my association with all of these factions holding all things that I've said could be one of the reasons why I didn't get that part of the...
Did you do it out of self-defense? There's a premise, that's why I said all things considered.
Yeah.
In response to a question from coming up. Yeah.
Well, sir, if I was to give you a very frank and honest answer, did I do it in self-defense? It's not fair to say, but why only I have to do it in self-defense? Why other people could not do it in self-defense? Why am I using self-defense as a pretext, for what I did? So that could be my definition. But I would prefer where you went beyond and try to, because you and I, or the commissioner, we are no relations. This is what I say. And to do these things and say, well, I will go and pity myself is this way, is wrong. Because this is so serious. That's why maybe people come and maybe they don't seem to see the seriousness. And everybody say, well, I did it in self-defense. Are you the only person that could defend yourself? How about those defenseless people who couldn't defend themselves? And I can just say to you that the whole thing is so wrong that it's wrong to even try to bring up a defense for yourself that I did this because of this. I mean, it was so wrong that it happened. And by me telling you I did, or the commission I did in self-defense, is not justifiable. because yes, I was able to defend myself, but there were several people who could not defend themselves. So who speaks for them, or who say what for them? But this thing is just so regrettable that, and if there was another adjective to implore beyond that, you will say it, but to say all of this was in self-defense, yes, it was in self-defense, but is that enough? That in the process of defending yourself, you cause other people harm? So that would be my response, to that. Everybody have a justification for what they do, but I don't know whether it's really justified what people do and what they say.
Thank you very much. Are you aware that fighters, all of the factions, at one point in time or another use pseudonyms as a way of identifying themselves and shielding their true identities?
Oh, well, I give an example. When I got this radio code of peanut butter, all everybody knew of me was peanut butter. And the intention was not to hide my identity.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. You say all fighters, and I'm not excluded, sir. I'm not excluded. But having said that, I would think that shame also had a lot to do with it. Nobody wants to be known as being associated with fighting, or so, or whatever. It's a wrong thing. So they might maybe want to do it in disguise or so, but it's a wrong thing. And it happened. There were a lot of pseudonyms, like you say, and maybe like some journalists might say, well, this is my pen name or whatever. I am aware that a lot happened, and I'm no exception, sir.
So in the course of the conflict, was there any other peanut butter or Adolphus Dolo you heard of or knew of associated with any of the factions, or who fought at any point in time?
No, sir. The only Adolphus Dolo that I knew and who was associated with the war that I knew would be me. If there was any other, I wouldn't know, but I knew about myself.
Can you now tell us some of those who you commanded during the activities of these forces, or who commanded you at any point in time, those that you fought along with, some of those you remember?
Some of those who I commanded, or some of those who I got instruction from, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. When I got seriously involved with the operations of Nimba, the chairman, because all of these were like divided into divisions and some subunits. The chairperson of the fighting force was the Ministry of Defense, and under that same Ministry of Defense, you also had the chairman of those Joint Chief of Staff outside of the regular army arrangement, in the presence of Mr. Benjamin Yitten. So the Ministry of Defense, I think the Defense Minister at the time was the Minister Chair, Daniel Chair also, and they also had some responsibility towards the militia at the time. So basically this was like the structure.
Benjamin Yitten, Daniel Chair, were you aware of Roland Duo?
Yeah, he was a divisional commander.
Caesar Maza?
Yeah, I encountered him whether he was a commander like that, what I do know is that he was an aide to Benjamin, Mr. Benjamin Yetan, and he would sometimes go to like represent him, in some areas, like you had bodyguards, and sometimes you send them to go to like represent you in that area.
Tage Wanti?
I'm sorry?
Tage Wanti?
Yeah, I knew him as one of the. He was an ambassador to Guinea, but as at the time of the war in Nimba, I did not know him to be commander like that. And let me just take, for example, like when we got to Nimba, I was immediately when I got hit, I came back to Monrovia, and after like 4 or so weeks, I went back to Nimba. There was like two fronts. I was like towards the Monrovia side, and then there was another group towards the Saclay side, and there was another group towards the San Nicolas side. So I could not go there because Ganta was in between. So it was after Ganta was captured that everybody began to pull back. I was left in Nimba, but I know that he was one of the ambassadors. He's been one of the original people with the MPFL.
I want to ask a general question relating to all of these factions, whether the MPFL, the IMPFL, were you at any time aware that these factions, during the time you affiliated with them, were you at any time aware that these factions, during the time you were associated with them, committed atrocities, violations of human rights against civilians who were just civilians, either they were targeted because of their tribe or
Yeah.
What are you aware of? Can you tell us?
Well, when you say aware, like I gave you this vivid one that I really remember about this Popular Home incident where you had all of these civilians.
Popular Home, that's Ilofa?
Yes, sir. Where you had all of these civilians come in, and what you had there was groundnut, you gave it, you offer them in, and you send them to the rear. And they are supposed to be going to Vahum, and they come and sleep, and the next day you come there, and these people who were supposed to be in Vahum, are not there. And then here's this commander who says that, I said these people, should be here. And then you go and don't see those people. I mean, those were,
and we heard
this was, in my definition, atrocities. And immediately at that, when it happened, because once those people should have been in Vahum, the fact that they were not in Vahum, and I did not see them. But let me say, just granted that maybe you said they were incarcerated, and I still did not see them. I came to report the findings as I saw it. So they should not have been where they were. They should have been in Vahum.
And this is our information that up to about 500 citizens were involved in that particular incident?
No. The number will be far lower than that. I wasn't checking figures, but they would be maybe in the high 40s. So.
The high 4s?
Sorry?
You said the high 400s?
In the high 40s.
The high 40s. What's about Mahe Bridge?
Where?
Mahe Bridge, Bombay County, during the operations against Lurd. You don't remember? No. And I want to take this time to ask you about several prominent incidents that happened, just to benefit from your recollection. Toki, for example, Samuel Toki, any information to the best we have collected, Benjamin Yetin is linked directly to that. Any information?
Well, if I really try to remember, and probably if you can maybe try to come up with a month, I would think I was out of Liberia when that incident occurred, and I was told that either him and his family were headed to Nimba, and I think they were arrested somewhere in Bon County or so. That is what that's what I think I remember. I was told.
Also about John, Yomi, and V.
Yeah, the situation with John, Yomi, and V, it was kind of very fluid in that I was in Nimba when all of these things were unfolding, and from what I do know, I think either Mr. Taylor had traveled out of Liberia, and John Yomi, along with Moses Blah and Vay, got arrested for whatever reason I did not know. But I remember I had come to Monrovia. This now is after the Nimba incident. I had come to Monrovia and I had gone to former President Blah's residence, and then I was expressing to him my frustration as to why we were not cared for as though, we didn't exist. That was when he began to explain to me how he got arrested along with John Yomi and Vay, and that he was freed, and they have not seen John Yomi and Vay. So I'm like, that you were arrested? I mean, all of us have phones that we communicate. How is it you will be arrested and nobody, would tell me? And he said, well, maybe because you're on the line, so they didn't want to, and it didn't, add up to me. It was in the presence of him, and other people. Then the question was, why were you arrested? He said that they said he was in contact to try to overthrow the government or whatever. And I still found difficulty in trying to comprehend how, because he was supposed to be the ringleader, so to speak. So if he was spared, then I would think automatically those who were associated with him, if they were, would be spared. But unfortunately, that was not the case. I'm told that these people were driven to Nimba or somewhere in the highway, somewhere there, and they got killed. That is to the best of my knowledge.
You were with the IMPFL between August and October.
Yeah.
During that time, several things happened, and one of which is the operation of the IMPFL in Bong Mines. Were you?
No, in fact, when I met the IMPFL, they've already left Bong Mines. They didn't know. They were already now in Monrovia. They didn't go to Bong Mines again.
Okay. What can you say of the IMPFL leader at the time? What kind of man was he during those very difficult times when the former president was captured? Witnesses' recollection of it speaks to indiscriminate killing of anybody with the slightest suspicion of either being a spy, a mandingo, a crime, or a former government official, and that the fighters were looting at will, and that he killed a number of them also. What sort of man did you observe he was? How would you describe him today?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, when I encountered him the first time, he was a nice person when I encountered him the first time, but when we got to the base and, he left me, the way he left me. And then after that, everybody was, just scared once they hear, he was, around. And then I also began to develop, that fear. And basically, I always try to keep my distance.
So everybody,
that's why I even said earlier that there was a low discipline. His style of discipline was a little different in that assuming you were maybe a target commander or whatever and somebody committed some crime or whatever, you could not by yourself take any action. You had to report it, and if actions had to be taken, it would have to be he who would make the decision also. So you didn't have commanders really doing stuff on their own or by themselves like that.
do you happen to know any of the fighters? By the way, I asked, maybe we can go back there too, if you can name some of those fighters who were with you. One of such fighters being Swat Deble. I don't know if you remember the name. But before this commission, he made very wild claims that in the 2000 war, he refused to fight and he retreated to Nimba County.
I refused to do what?
He refused to fight. He was tired.
In 2000 what?
2002. And
2002?
2002. 2000, the 2000 conflict, lured.
The 2003 conflict. Okay, 2002. I just want to make sure I understood what you said.
Yeah, the lured conflict started around 99.
So sorry, you have to be a low.
The lured conflict started around 99, 98, and then 2000. But during that time, he decided he wouldn't fight any longer, and he went to Nimba. And when you got there, you didn't find him, but he took it on his family. Maybe this isn't relevant once you don't remember who he was.
That I took it on his family? Meaning what?
Meaning that you harassed his family, his fiancée was killed. I think he lost 2 of his children. But once you don't remember him, it's okay.
No. So what I can tell you for a fact is that I really don't need to see the person you're talking about. So it's meaning that so maybe you don't think of some reprisal or whatever, if that's what you thought. But I would just say to you, sir, you can go to whatever town or village he comes from, and you ask the people in that town if what he say ever happened. I don't seek any mercy from anybody if it ever happened. And so I would say this to you. People who are prominent people, both Liberians and non-Liberians who reside in Nimba and the rest of it, they can never tell you that at any point in time, prior to 2003, they've seen me in Nimba with a pen knife, let alone a pistol. So I'm saying I don't even need to see him, sir. I would prefer for you to ask him like what, where in Nimba he's talking about and where this incident happened. If you went there and they communicated to you that this thing happened and everything I told you here is not true. I mean, in 2002, there was no problem in Nimba like that of this lure thing. That's why you said 2002. There was no problem in Nimba like that anybody will leave to go to Nimba, and then you follow him as though he was the only person, that had to fight. So I will appreciate, if you, try to, find him by your own term and say, where were you when this incident happened? You go in the community and ask them.
Okay, thank you. Just to go back, I asked you to name some of those who were either part of your unit or something like that, and you've given the names of type of officials. I want regular men, foot soldiers, NM5.
like when I went to Ganta, there was like a military commander there that I can picture, and if you allow me to, give me like a day or so, I can write his name and bring it to you. But he was a regular military personnel, and I heard about him, but I was not able to see him until almost like after the war, because from what it was that the militia would not, respect him as a regular army personnel, and he was kind of scared. And the rumor out of was that he helped to sell Ganta also. I mean, how he was sold Ganta, I don't know. So he was one of those commanders that were on the ground. And when Ganta fell, it hit all of us from Nimba. So I remember Benjamin Yita himself was in Nimba, and he was on the Saye-Taayor side, and almost all of the quote-unquote special forces also who came from Nimba, who were like very inactive, were also became a part of the effort. But like I say, if you allow me to begin to rethink, I can get names of some of them, to you later if you don't mind.
Definitely.
Okay.
It's okay. Once you don't remember now, it's okay. Honorable Adolphus Dolo, we want to thank you very much for coming and taking all of this time up with us to share and make your contribution to our process for reconciliation and sustainable peace. Your testimony has just ended. Before you leave, is there a final thing you would like to say to the Commission, to the people of Liberia?
Well, Mr. Chairman and members of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, I want to thank you for having me. My being here had afforded me the time to get a lot of things that was on my chest out, which makes me feel a little, lighter. And if there's anything that I could not come to terms with now, or could not remember, I can also just hope that you can also allow me to, at a later date, to come and give you more information, so that it's not like I'm leaving something behind or whatever. Probably after bringing all of these things out, maybe it will help me, to again reflect better to the audience here, to Liberians who are listening to radio, and non-Liberians who are also listening to the radio. I again want to tell them that I regret this entire incident where I was involved with, and my action or inaction that may have brought harm or suffering to people that I never got to know or never knew. I regret the incident, and I am really very sorry, for choices that I may have made, in the process. And I want to thank you for having me, and if need be that you would like to send for me, meaning if there was some new development that you wanted to talk to me about, I will be willing to avail myself to you and your commission. So I'd like to say thank you very much for having me again.
Thank you very much. And We take note of what you have said. I'm confident that this may not be our last interaction. Thank you very much, and you may leave.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Mr. Hearing Officer, we will resume tomorrow morning at 10 in the morning, 10 a.m.